Hello and welcome to everyone. These guys and girls are extremely exciting days. We have the latest and last panel from hell coming tomorrow, the 7th of July. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. I have been there from the start, but it's kind of I've got mixed feelings about this, right? So on one side, I am extremely excited to have the game released. On the other side, I'm just gonna miss all the hype, all the speculations, all the panel from hells and little bits and pieces of information that we get kind of drip fed here and there. So I'm honestly gonna miss that. But yeah, it's super exciting times. We are getting the game on PC at least on August 3rd. So with that out the way, I wanted to focus in on this specific kind of point of the picture that Larian gave us for the panel from hell. It shows a shadow, and that's because they're gonna reveal the next origin character, so the 7th origin character. And in this video, I'm just going to cover some, let's call them theories, speculations about who the 7th origin character might be. Obviously, if you're searching about this, I think there are a few other content creators that have done videos. I might be wrong, but there's definitely quite a few Reddit posts with speculations and stuff like that. So I'm going to give my thoughts on this. At this point, I just want to mention that this video will contain data mined information and spoilers, so if you don't like these, feel free to just leave now. For those of you who are actually interested to hear my thoughts on this and don't mind spoilers and data mined information, just feel free to continue watching. So keeping that in mind, let's jump straight in. First off the bat, I would like to say that Chablot has been an extremely good source of data mined information, and I thank him for that. He was actually the guy that somewhat inspired me to start a YouTube channel. Yeah, so thanks, Chablot. I just found your videos so interesting. So if you guys wanna head over to his channel, he's got some really nice data mined information video, etc., etc. I would definitely check him out. But keeping more on point, he has one of his videos. He's talking about a potential 7th origin character called Helia, he did manage to data mine some lines for her. She is a halfling bard who is also a werewolf, so that would very nicely tie in with the fact that obviously we have Astarion who's a vampire, so we'd have both vampires and werewolves or lycanthropes, however you want to call them, in the game. It would make for extremely good lore. I would be very hyped because I just honestly I just enjoy werewolf and vampire type movies and series and stuff like that, so it would be really nice if we did have that character. But there's a big but here. She has potentially been scrapped, is how I would describe it. So again, Chablot managed to data mine a bunch of lines for her in patch 4 or something along those lines. I can't remember exactly which patch it was, but then she suddenly disappeared off the charts and she was nowhere to be found. So she potentially might have been scrapped, which would be a major shame in my opinion, but you never know. So keeping that in mind, there's the Magic the Gathering cards as well, which was or has been a really good source of spoilery type information. So let's have a look at the Magic the Gathering cards to see if we can have any good guesses about whether they've actually already kind of teased who the 7th Origin character is or not. Now, the Magic the Gathering cards have been kind of a source of spoilery type information, if you like, in the past, with, for instance, an example that comes to mind is Karlach's card revealing the fact that she's a barbarian. Now, I've actually gone through and looked through the cards, and I've handpicked out a few that would fit two categories in my mind. One of them is the race category. So what we don't have in the game currently as an origin character, for instance, is one of the shorter races, halflings, dwarves. Obviously we don't have dragonborn, so that would fit the race profile as well. And then in terms of classes, I've looked at it that way as well. So obviously we have origin characters covering most of the classes, but not all of them. So we don't have a class covering the sorcerer slot, we don't have a class covering bard or monk. All the other classes between the origin characters and the actual recruitable companions, all the other classes are covered apart from these three classes. But I think in terms of actually doubling up with respect to origin characters and companion characters, who are characters like Minsk, Jahira, Minthara, Halsin. I think those are it. I can't remember if I'm forgetting someone, but I think that's those are the companion classes. Doubling up on origin and companion classes, I think is potentially likely. So keeping these two kind of categories in mind, let's jump into what I think are interesting cards. So first off the bat is Alora the Merry Thief. So she would fit the kind of the shorter race halfling, being a halfling, but she's also a rogue. So Astarion is a rogue. I honestly doubt that they would have two rogues as origin characters, so that's definitely not her in my opinion. Then we get this lovely dude here, Amber Grislumol, a very barbaric name, but anyway, so he seems to be a dwarf cleric, so he would fit the race category but not the class category, because obviously Shadowheart is a cleric, so he's off the list as well. Then there's one of the really good contesters in my opinion, which I think quite a few people on Reddit also agree on, is this character here, Erinis Gloomstalker. Now he or she is a halfling ranger. She fits the race. We don't have a halfling origin character. She sort of fits the class with respect to the fact that the origin characters up to now don't include any rangers. But obviously we do have Minsk, who's a ranger, so I don't know whether they could or would want to double up in that sense, but she's definitely a good pick in my opinion. She seems to be a Gloomstalker, which is the new sub-race that Larian told us they would have in the final game, and I think overall there are fairly high possibilities that the 7th origin character might be Erinis. Moving on, there's another interesting character called Corlessa the Scale Singer. So he or she, again I assume it's a she, is a dragon bard, so a dragonborn bard. We don't have a bard as an origin character or a companion, and we don't have a dragonborn character either. So yeah, I think that's also a good fit. And there's this dude here, the OG, the Exquisite Blade. He is a human monk. So we've got a human, Will's a human. We don't have a monk, obviously that's the only unreleased class that we haven't seen yet. He might be a good fit, it's possible. And then the last one is Skanos Dragonheart, so he's a Dragonborn Ranger. He's also a new character as well. So if I'm gonna be completely honest, try and explain why I think it's gonna be either Erinis or Skanos. That is the 7th origin character. Assuming obviously that the halfling Helia, being a werewolf, etc., has been scrapped, because we haven't really heard from, we haven't really had any additional data mined information on that character, so she might have been scrapped. So assuming it's not Helia, in my opinion, it's either Erinisk the Gloomstalker or Scanos Dragonheart. And that's because of this character here. She is called Leica. She is a tiefling. I want to say ranger. She seems like a ranger. You can find her just above the Keith patrol encounter. She seems to be spying on them, or just keeping an eye on them at least, because they are a big threat and they are scary. So if you talk to her anyway, there is a dialogue that occurs, and you can actually attempt to recruit her, which she outright denies and just leaves off. So it's a very quick encounter. I honestly think that she is going to potentially be swapped with either Erinis or Scanos. I might be proven wrong, but it's a really good spot to actually introduce a new character. I think it would make sense to actually come across all of the origin characters in Act 1 and early on in Act 1 as well. So obviously we have across the river, if we move to the north from the actual point we start, you can find Karlak next to the Anders encounter. So she isn't really close by to either Gale or Astarion or Shadowheart or Lae'zel for that matter, who are actually really close to the starting point. She's further ahead, if you like. So it might actually be the case that whether it's a Leica or whoever character replaces a Leica, which I think there are good grounds to assume that she's going to be replaced, there is a good potential for that spot to be where you actually encounter another origin character. So anyway, this has been a really long video. I didn't actually intend to make such a long one on this, but it sort of dragged out a bit. Thank you for watching. If you like this type of content, please consider leaving us a like, a comment, and a subscribe. Thank you very much again, and I shall see you on the next one.